Hey all, Izzy here, just giving a quick introduction to the second episode of Machine Learning, starting by saying thanks so much for being patient with us while we take a little extra time to get this one out the door. We're super excited to be able to record these, and we have been real excited about the response so far, so we hope to keep this going. Part of that is you all. You guys have been great so far in sending your questions. We love answering those, we love reading those, we love answering and reading those at the same time or separately, depending on what kind of makes the most sense. You can do that in our Discord, but I'm sure you can also tweet us at Pod versus Machine on Twitter. That is all I have for you today. Thanks again for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and here we go.
Initiating machine learning. Executing.
Hi, this is Izzy. Welcome to episode 2 of the show that I'm going to try and do from memory, and we'll see how it goes. I will know if I'm correct based on the facial reactions of my cast members, whom I can see in front of me on Skype. Machine learning, a pod about the machine from Pod Against the Machine, the only podcast with a supplementary podcast with a 25-word title.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
Woo!
I would swear here if I was allowed to, but I'm not. An excited swear.
You're the host. You can do anything you want.
See, I'm the host. I'm editing the episode. Okay, thanks, Jeff. This is us. Say hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
I'm Kenny. No. No.
Okay, see, I should have introed everyone.
Just
in.
mute my track.
No.
Staying in.
It's late. I got a COVID shot today. And...
His name's Kenny Moderna.
All right, so let's kick off with our recap per the outline and jump in with episode 6, The Naughty Zone. I think this is the one we had just come out of the cave. This is Things Were Bad That First Day. This is the one, right? Kira and Asher almost got murdered by not even a robot. It was a giant rock monster. We ran away from that / dragged Asher away because they were still dying. And then we worked it out. We traded for some healing potions. We shot a rock to death. I don't even know what else needs to be said. That feels like a solid recap to me, team. Input. What were your thoughts when we shot a rock to death? Jeff.
A rock monster. Ding, diddle, diddle, doom.
Those are my thoughts, too.
Yeah, I'm going to assume that's the entirety of Jeff's input, and I will then say, I'm glad that I had a really crappy level 0 spell to shoot at it through a doorway.
I'm glad no one died.
I'm glad I started the podcast with a neutral-based alignment, so I didn't have to consider the ethical implications of murdering a Galarn in its natural habitat.
Fair.
Was it its natural habitat? Am I just
unclear
talking out of my...
I mean, everything's natural about the desert that is under the mountain, and the desert with the metal sky and stuff. That seems natural to me.
It's a classic subterranean desert.
Yeah.
Classic subterranean sky ceiling desert. Sky, metal, sky ceiling desert.
The sky metal sky.
Nice, that was good. Sky metal.
If you're not into the whole brevity thing.
That was a fun episode insofar as that one gave me feelings of concern. As we were sitting there doing that battle, I was like, okay, I'm just going to create a second character, because there's no way I come out of this okay. It was that thing of, every time you stand up, you provoke, which is new for me. And so I was like, I could lay here and keep getting beat, or I could crawl away and keep getting beat. And listening back to that episode, I was real frustrated because I feel like it made a lot of poor strategic decisions, but also I don't know what else could have been done. I'm sure someone in the Discord will let me know. Kudos to Jeff, as per usual, for saving everyone. Classic Jeff.
I mean, I also distinctly remember Brixby having to pull me out of the near-death experience, so... I will say, not to self-5 myself, but the quick inspiration to pretend to be Sandville is one of my favorite things that Asher's done. Old Greasy.
I do also enjoy the part of this where you went into the fight with the giant rock monster, with two characters with 3 and 2 HP, I believe.
I had 3. Thank you.
I think we both had 3. I think we were HP twinsies.
I can't consider that another one of those learning curves. I think I mentioned to you guys later on. It was like, I wonder how much HP you can get away with entering, a combat situation. For those of you who might also be new to Pathfinder, 3 is like not good. Not that number. Even level 1.
Yeah, you're generally going to want a number higher than 3.
I think at least 4.
Yeah. If you're in that 4 neighborhood, you should be feeling better. 5, maybe, you'll live forever. Hello there, I'm Michael. You may know me as the owner of Fantasy Michael's chain of craft stores dotting the Numerian countryside. But I want you to know me for something more, for being your friend. That's why, as of today, I'm extending the Fantasy Michael's friends and family discount to every single person on Galarian. Except Joanne. Everyone but Joanne. So there's never been a better time to come on down to Fantasy Michael's and get yourself some sparkles, maybe a pack of unicorn stickers to show that special someone you care. Just don't give any to Joanne. If I see Joanne with a unicorn sticker, I'm gonna know it was you. And I'm gonna hunt you down. Thanks, y'all. See you
we left
at Fantasy
because we had
Michael's.
almost died. We fixed Asher. Asher killed a rock, and we decided we should get out of the cave because everyone was very close to dying. So I think that was we went back to Brixby's friend and their gross hotel room, and we leveled up. That was a level up episode. Was it a level up episode? It was a level up episode.
Yeah.
Talk to me about leveling up, everyone.
Yeah. Let's not gloss over the legendary and first animated scene I'm sure we'll get from fans of the dragging the robot through town. Pure magic. Jiro's dice roll, then saying, it's me.
Vargas's brilliant improv of I'm under the blanket that I am dragging.
Yeah. Every time I think of that scene, I think of the Stonecutters episode of Simpsons, where Marge asks Homer what he's doing when he goes outside. He's going, I'm going to go stalk Lenny and Carl.
Such a solid episode.
We also had an appearance of the dead friend blanket.
That was the first DFB.
Not to be forgotten.
Yeah, and in the continuing saga of what the heck's under that hat, Asher, we had a pretty cool level up scene with Asher that I thought was incredibly interesting. We even had somebody on the Discord be like, what the heck was that? So,
What was it?
saying that was pretty great.
This is the time.
Oh, what?
Clearly,
I mean,
he's
yeah.
sponsored by PlayStation, and that was Sackboy.
It was just a fellow, a fellow with some buttons on him. He was nice. He just decided to pop into a hotel room in the middle of the night, like you do.
Sure.
Hey, wake up, here's some buttons. All right.
Well, yeah, I mean, you've never had that happen when you stayed at a hotel?
Oh, you're staying at the wrong hotels.
I mean,
Walk righteously. Bye.
Only at La Quinta.
Look, buena. Zach, I remember also being, and this is maybe just me being like, oh, I've never seen a level up scene like this before, but Brix also had kind of a moment.
Yeah, that was a definitely an interesting scene for me as a player to do, because of multi-classing presents a really interesting challenge no matter what, because I don't know how other folks approach this, but when I think about a character, it's usually like they've been doing this their whole life, and then this is their chance to shine. I mean, there's other opportunities. I've built other characters, but frequently when someone's got a couple levels in a class, you're like, you've been doing this thing. But like, I can't give a whole lot away about stuff that's going to be revealed later, but like touching on a latency of arcane things, as well as a very central, deep and dark pillar to Brix's character. That was probably, you know, the most exposition I've been able to give so far. Yeah, it was definitely, it was my most Brixby moment, because I feel like he was really able to be himself.
I'm gonna tease out the thread of lore or character intent behind multi-classing, because I think it's fascinating, like the idea that if you've been doing this, you've been doing it for a while. Part of the reason I love playing Kira is because she is as new to this whole thing as I am, and so we can both be like, how does this work? This is great. And, you know, presumably she's a big kid, she hits stuff really hard, that thing is new, but we all know she's a blood rager, and while I had no concept of what that meant when I was putting her together, I have a better idea of that now, and I'm real excited to unwrap that in the future. She doesn't know what's coming because she's just a small, dumb baby.
Yeah, I'm so excited. It's a cool thing about that character, that class mechanic too, with kind of a delayed magic that I think will play really interesting with Kira and being young and kind of coming into her own with her powers and her power flexing for everybody at home. Watching her grow even just a little bit in the 2 days, finding her dead best friend and all of dealing with whatever's going on with her parents, and it's been really interesting watching how you play this character that like can be so powerful but so vulnerable, so young, but also so like crucial to the survival of all of us, and not just like mechanically. Like I think Kira brings like a very can-do attitude that, I mean, Asher as kind of part of his flock also brings. But yeah, no, I mean, I think that Kira is this just amazing mismatch of things that makes me really excited about the group in general.
In terms of deciding how those were built out, because I think this was also a question, did you discuss what classes you were going to play before we started? Kind of, yeah. To that end, I will say, I can say about Kira that when I knew I would be doing that playtest game with Sam's group, I very much wanted like I don't know what I'm doing, but it'd be really fun to play a teenager with a big sword. And initially, like in my very, very first draft, she was like a YouTuber. It was like I like sell lip gloss in my off time. Because it was a 1-episode game, and I was like, this doesn't have to make any sense. And then I really had fun playing. She was a barbarian at the time, and I was like, wait, I love this. How can I make this work for a long-term thing? And it was very clear from that moment. I know I love a melee character. At that point, we still didn't have any characters with like any casting. Like that was the initial, and I was like, okay, this one works and brings both of those things. And the other part of it, like you just said, Zach, was like it felt very, very easy to make the transition. Is like, look, she doesn't know that much about the game, I don't know that much about the game, let's call it method acting and call it night.
To elaborate on that a bit, at one point when we were getting things started, we had I want to say a barbarian, a gunslinger, a barbarian, a cavalier, a brawler, and a rogue. So not a single spell between the four of you.
Okay. Yeah, fun fact, Vargas was originally a constructed pugilist brawler. And instead of having a magical arm, it was just a prosthetic. And that version of Vargas would probably have died in the frog fight.
Yeah, Brix was originally going to be an investigator before everything else, the scavenger investigator like archetype, which is super cool. If people haven't looked into it, it's more flavor than anything else, but you just like assemble instead of creating extracts, you assemble little machines that kind of work as your magic. I thought that would really fit bricks, but if anybody's played an investigator before, they are, I mean, unless you take a mechanical dip in a swashbuckler or something else, it's really hard to play that class effectively. And getting this far into Iron Gods, it would be very hard to play like a melee investigator, I think. So I reskinned him as a Numerian rogue, and then realized that I didn't just want to play a rogue for like 12 levels. So Stabracadabrat was a really fun portmanteau, and yeah. But what brought the mystery of Asher, Jeff? What caused this beautiful creation to rise out of your mental space?
Yeah, Asher, well, for those of you who are following along with Sam's initial classes, that leaves Asher out as the Cavalier in his first build. But he was the Spellscar Drifter Cavalier, mostly because at first I didn't envision Asher as just a pure gunslinger, sort of lone wolf type, so I really liked the idea of the Cavalier Order, sort of tying him to an organization, that's sort of giving him some sort of purpose, but also being a gunslinger. So yeah, so that was his initial build. Looking at it after, so we talked about in last episode of Machine Learning how we all TPK'd at level 3 in our test game. That sort of made me think about what can change mechanically but still keep Asher, and I ended up settling on the Mysterious Stranger Gunslinger, in part because I really saw him as a charisma character, not a wisdom character, and that's obvious by in some ways the fact that he just doesn't get stuff. But yeah, that's really where it changed, was not just wanting to keep him alive because I heart him, but also because I just, I wanted to settle on something that could be more effective. Like Jiro said with his, would have died against a rock monster. I don't know whether Cavalier Asher would have outlived or lived as long. That archetype gives some neat Cavalier options, but you also lose most of your gunslinger deeds. And so knowing that like focused aim has been responsible for overcoming DR against the gremlins and might come in handy in future episodes, who could say? It's just, yeah, I feel like I chose well, and it's really sort of story and mechanics speaking into each other and informing each other in a way that's been fun to drive.
Credit where credit is due. Thank you, Jobot, from the Discord, and also, I don't want to call him like a close frenemy from Twitter. We have had a little bit of Twitter beef in the past, Jobot and myself. It's uncomfortable, but it's just kind of like life, But great job at question asking. That was your question, and we can put the Twitter beef on hold as I give you your due.
I also want to take a second to thank Jobot. He actually sent me a set of Serpent Skull dice. He was one of our winners for the dice giveaway, so he got a set of Iron Gods dice from a GM of Iron Gods, and he GM'd Serpent Skull, so he sent me a set of Serpent Skull dice. And there's no telling which one of you these are going to kill, but they'll get one of you.
You're a real stand-up guy.
Thank you, Joe. that Joe vibe.
I think that's a nice transition. It's not. I'm joking. It's a hard cut back into our recap, wherein we come out, we level up, we head back into the caves. There's a lot of wandering. To that point, I think I'm pretty sure we come back into the caves, we see a path, and then we're like, meh. And instead we climb some mountains. Now, there have been a lot of jokes in the Discord about quote-unquote failed climb checks. And again, maybe this is just me being new to these games, but I thought we did pretty well, and we were able to support each other in our, what I like to call character building climbs, and also rock fun slides. Clearly, none of you have ever been to an underground desert and slidden down some rocks for fun, and it shows.
I've heard that when having a recap podcast, the best way to endear yourself to your listeners and your fans is to get really offended at them calling us out on what we do. And so I just wanted to validate you as a host. You're crushing it.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I don't know if you noticed, but I just mentioned that Twitter beef. So not only am I calling people in the Discord, but just directly by name. I just want to make sure that all of my aggressions are out there on the table because of how I saw on a YouTube video. That's how you should handle online interactions. It wasn't a comment, but still.
I mean, it's sort of hearkening back to an earlier time of the internet where if you weren't in all caps and swearing at people, what were you even doing?
Thank you, Sam, for understanding.
No, I was just going to say, does being in a 200-foot deep pitch black underwater sinkhole count as having been in an underground desert?
Okay, isn't there that, Snapple lid fact that says, a tundra is a desert, with the snow? So I think it's just the amount of, rainfall or water. Let's say rainfall. Yeah, there's no rainfall.
Technically, it can't rain underwater, so...
Isn't it a taiga? Is a taiga like a T-A-I-G-A? Isn't that like a desert?
I think a taiga is a forest. Is a polar forest, and then a tundra is a desert.
Yeah, my bad.
I think that was also a dual land card in Magic the Gathering, one of the very early sets.
Yeah.
It's also a type of giant in Pathfinder.
Yeah, it's boreal forests, of course.
Yeah, shout out to my 12-year-old for teaching me that a few days ago.
Great job, 12. So, maybe is the answer to that question, Jero. We might be in some sort of dry, not underwater desert. Were you gonna segue into something else with that? Should we? Oh, just literally asking.
Oh no, I'm just humble bragging about the fact that I've been in a 200-foot deep
I did
sinkhole.
go on a mountain one time. Once, just that one. And I will be keeping all of this because I think I'm great. Back to the recap. So, wandered in the desert. We killed some skeletons. Some of those skeletons we thought were being a little bit creepy and watching us with their weird glowing green eyes. And we said to ourselves, probably this is some sort of necromantic thing, right? And Selves said, yeah, okay. So then we followed them further into not that like a fairly subtle trap. We made a joke about that in the recap. As we often do, there's a lot of jokes and references where people are like, oh yeah, you didn't catch that, and I, Izzy, never do. So I would have wandered right under that trap that was another rock monster. This one defeated soundly, because we needed vengeance for that first time.
And you get bonus points because this one was actually advanced.
Ooh. So yeah, I mean, we're sitting here like professional adventurers do and say, I know we've been assaulted by skeletons, but that's really a good time for me to fix a gun for an hour, for Brixby to learn some scrolls. I mean, if there was ever a safer place, I haven't been to one. Who would have thought we'd get attacked again? I didn't.
Yeah, it was as if my learning of Disrupt Undead was disrupted by undead.
The height of irony. Later, we stumbled onto 10,000 spoons. All they needed was a knife.
I get that one.
I told you to mute me.
Unfortunately, it can't rain in this underground desert, or it would be like it did on your wedding day.
And then there was a plane, and some guy was worried about not traveling in the plane. Or maybe he was supposed to travel and didn't. No, he was on the plane, and he was like, "Oh, this is ironic. See, I can do music jokes too."
And stop
this
calling
is
me
actually-
Shirley. Yeah.
Yeah. This is
Fly
all the
fellas
time
and
we have
blind.
for our recap of Alanis Morissette's music. That is what happened in the hit song Ironic. Tune in next week. We'll be covering,
Yeah, don't you think?
Moving Down Jagged Little Pill.
We'll hit
And then, of
One
course,
Hand
we
in
have
My
to talk about
Pocket
her
next.
playing God in Dogma.
I've kicked it off. That's fine. You all have fun. I'm gonna go to the bathroom.
It's too much to ask for, and I am not the doctor.
That's my fault. That's what I deserve.
Don't you think?
Next week we'll be covering Natalie and Brucia.
Oh man, I'm torn on that subject.
Yeah. It's cold and I'm ashamed.
You know, a funny thing about how I'm recording this podcast, lying naked on the floor. No, that's not how that actually works.
Yeah, I've been meaning to
All right,
talk
we're
to you
leaving.
about that. We've had some complaints.
You're a little late.
I mean, you gotta be cold and ashamed about it, but, you know.
Are
So
we
yeah.
done? I'll wait. This is fine. I don't start work until 10. So you other East Coasters with your ridiculous
Yep.
hours.
You're mean.
Oh, this all stays in. Yeah, this is you all service,
This is the whole show now.
Classic.
which is cool. So we find the skeletons, we smush the skeletons, we make our wonderful music puns. Smoosh another rock, and then I think we just that was when we were entering like the regular the weird metallic-y part. So we were in a desert up until we get through that door, which we almost missed, but then didn't, and burst right on through there and discover a whole bunch of stuff. Hallways, primarily hallways, but also some buttons, some key cards, and I think the most exciting part, the key cards. I was going to make a joke there about how it wasn't the power terminal, but it is. It's the power terminal. Hey, bricks, way to not immediately destroy it. That was good. That was a monumental self-control.
Yeah, I didn't think that he or I had the personal restraint to not push the button. Because he really wanted to push that button. Man, but yeah, instead we talked about it and produced a lot of quality content for our listeners, discussing the possibilities of what would happen before touching the button. Was that really the most exciting of our first 10? Because if I'm totally wrong, then cut this out. But wasn't our 10th episode perhaps the most of all the exciting?
Well,
That's English.
The 10th episode is the episode where you found the button and there was much consternation over the pressing of said button.
So we're cutting this out because I was thinking of episode 11. So zoom.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm just like, yeah, totally. The computer. That was way better than the semi-boss fight that we had. But yeah, we're just going to edit me out.
Although, we might have met him at the end of episode 10. Yeah, because TPK was
That's true.
the one where we fought him. All right, keeping it back in. I'll make it smoother. That's right. Okay. Second most exciting time. We found a button. First most exciting time. We entered a small rented office space. We noticed there were chairs flavored like lemon. I remember responding in the recording and then listening to the recording in the same way, and that was ew. So something sour.
Whoa. Spoilers on the taste test. That's episode 11.
Fair. I apologize, fans.
That is forbidden territory.
Yeah, so we entered in this WeWork community space. And Turns out we were double booked.
And the other guy got real upset about it. And we said, chill, we can all use the single computer. And he said, no, I'm going to murder you. Or whatever. I don't know. Because episode 11.
Yeah, we're living here in episode 10 world. For all we know, we came in and sat down and had patty cake with the dude. He could do it with two of us at once with 4 arms.
I'm pretty sure he offered you bagels.
He did not offer us bagels. We did discuss sushi. I know that because I cut that part out of the episode. Which, in a pandemic time, I don't know. If we all, like, if there's like a communal sushi pile, seems... but if we have individual sushi plates, it's probably fine.
Fair. Yeah, I was thinking sushi boats way off.
Well, to be fair, he's been under a mountain.
Oh, yeah, he is
thoroughly socially distanced.
If he takes our sushi, though, because we've been gallivanting around town.
Oh, yeah, you're ruining it for him. No wonder he's
Fair.
angry.
All right.
So, quick, semi-serious question that relates to this. I'm interested in hearing players' responses to how did your character, like, I'm pretty sure by this episode, Brix is just like lost his mind, being like, I know where we are, or I have some idea of where we are, right? How did everyone's characters feel moving from what we thought was just like a desert into the hallways, the metal rooms, the terminals, our first real engagement with technology?
I can say, because there's been, for Kira, such a focus on, look, we just want to relight the torch. I'm not sure, and I think part of this is, like we said, she's young, she's relatively sheltered, she's lived her whole life in this town, and as far as she knows, the torch is just what makes everything work, and if it's out, we gotta fix it. There was no thought given to why it's like that, because there's no thought given to why it wouldn't be like that. Like, it's just normal that you have a giant purple flame shooting into the sky. So in her mind, you know, she recognizes this is unnatural because obviously the torch is out. But no part of this is, she's like, sure, yeah, you know, sometimes you go underground, you find whatever. Who can even say what this is? It's just a series of corridors and fun. So eventually we'll find a big old forge and we'll turn it back on. It's going to be fine. I am interested to see, as we've discussed, what happens when we leave Torch. And she's like, oh, this place doesn't have a giant purple flame. That is so weird. What do they do here? Short answer, very little surprise now. This is just how the world works. We will see how it goes from here.
Asher is definitely excited. There's been a few moments where he's shared with Brixby his excitement. The two of them both seem to be most interested and excited in exploring these technologies. So for Asher, who was mostly just wanting to help out the town and fund his expensive ammunition along the way, he didn't know what to expect with relighting the torch any more than Kira did. And to find that there's this wondrous structure that nobody knew. I mean, wall of glausite is what we knew going in, and that by itself was like, oh, this is going to be awesome. And then we see a desert, and we're like, what? Oh, this is Asher's loving it. He's a desert boy, BLI, and he's loving it. Then we find there's more, and it's all glausite, and there's a power button, and it's in this alien language. He's fascinated and definitely interested in exploring every possible door. Asher episodes through 10, if we relight the torch in episode 11, who's to say we don't? He would still happily continue to explore this structure until he was confident that he had found every possible thing he could find. To break it up a bit, because I know who's excited and who isn't. Hey, Jero, what's Vargas thinking?
I planned ahead and assumed I would get called on. No, Vargas, fun fact, Vargas's player only kind of figured out where we were like about a week before Vargas did, when all of us together were kind of talking after one of the episodes, which obviously by episode 10, we have not quite understood exactly what we're in, but I, as a player, assumed that this was like some kind of bunker that was built after Starfall for way longer than I probably should have. But in terms of the character, Vargas basically comes from a long line of people who are taught not to interact with technology. And so basically the entire time he's down there, he's basically having an internal panic attack as generations and generations of teaching are going out the window with every step further into this place. And he is just thoroughly not enjoying himself.
Yeah, I feel like Brixby, Brixby's definitely made his feelings known throughout this over and over again. But he feels incredibly positive, obviously, about the place that they're in, even with all of its attendant dangers and everything else. This is what Brix was doing before he met the group. I think that Brix sees, and it maybe hinted on this a bit, like the distribution of sky metal and things buried below the ground, the treasures of technology, the Reign of Stars, as this kind of great equalizer in Numeria, where there is a lot of intense disparity in power, that there is this ability to just like claim jump a whole ton of sky metal or just stumble into something that has astronomical power, not even understood by the powers that be inside the country that we're in. So yeah, I mean, I think Brix is incredibly excited and a little nervous because touching a bit on Numerian lore, you don't get to spend I guess you don't get to discover a technological wreck and keep it to yourself. There's a lot of interested parties. There's a lot of, yeah, anyway. So it's a really exciting element to it as well. I think he's a little apprehensive, but that's in the back of his mind, and he's kind of pressing that down because how often do you get to discover your first ruin? It's, I mean, I guess some people have gone in these rooms before us, so maybe cut that last part out.
Keeping it.
Sorry.
Edit.
Gentlefolk, I appreciate you gathering here today. Is everybody eating? Good. Sober? Good. The following proposal is both highly lucrative and highly dangerous. If that isn't your cup of tea, I bid goodbye. No hard feelings. Take some food for the road. None of you are on the line for this yet. For the bold among us that know to harvest reward, one must sow risk. I will continue. The target, Silver Disc Hall, the most profitable and, well, only casino in Torch, glinting like a shiny coin, just waiting to be snapped up. We're gonna rob it. What's that? How do I know my info is good? Let's just say I've got a man on the inside, but we'll get to that later. Bad news first. The place is owned by Garmin Ulrith. Yeah, that Garmin Ulrith. That means the works. The place is crawling with rope-fist goons working the floor, classic concentric patrol patterns, along with 3 roving, constant arcane eye spells. In addition to the permanent guards stationed outside of Garmin's office. But once we're inside there, it's a cakewalk. Only a gauntlet of some of the most high-tech and all mechanical traps you can conceive of. Savvy? Surviving those, the money is kept in a hidden safe room, cleverly installed beneath Garmin's desk, to which one can only gain access by uttering the special passphrase spoken in his voice, I might add. What's that? No. Having the skulks tunnel into the room is out. Why? Triple reinforced walls and a tremor sense sensor that triggers a trap, summoning 3 or so odd earth elementals. Don't worry though, the skulks will play their part. Anyway, safe room opened, and finally we see the prize. The house's weekly take, a waiting deposit, contained within a hardened adamantine box, sealed with an arcane lock that may or may not be stored alongside 3 decoys, all of them quite vicious mimics. So, how are we going to do this? Oh, we're going to walk it out the front door. I happen to know that some of the slot machines are about to break. Something related to some gremlins that may have come up from under the hill via a tunnel that may or may not have been constructed by our friends the Skulks. Anyhow, we happen to have the only Absalom certified slot machine repairman of all Torch here, Garrett. He'll be called in tomorrow, right at peak business, this moon day evening, to handle a substantial outage on the slots. He's known for lugging impractical amounts of garbage everywhere he goes. We'll take advantage of that, and in this case his comically large sack will contain Kira, Asher, Vargas, and myself, subject to a series of reduced person and invisibility spells until we're real tiny like. Then we sneak out, conceal ourselves until we return to normal size, and then use a wand of alter self to make Asher look like Garmin and the rest of us into unseemly rope fist flunkies. Oh, and I'll take a second here and thank the fathers at the churches of Pharasma and Bry for their contributions of this magic. It turns out they're quite generous when the topic of a certain underground corpse robot fighting ring is brought up. Once disguised, we make our way to the door of the office. Asher will dismiss the guards, replace them with junk punch and big stuff. Past the door, I do the high-tech and mechanical thing. Exit, trade places with Vargas. All the while, Asher sits at the desk, speaks the passphrase, which of course is password, because we happen to know that Garmin can't figure out how to reset it from the default configuration. Once that's open, Vargas with his near indestructible appendage will reach in, grab the loot, though not before tossing in a few of these babies first. Yeah, funny thing, mimics love goo tubes. Makes them docile as puppies, have them eaten out of your paw. So with that handled, he grabs the lockbox, the only one that isn't animated and snacking on delicious goo, and we carry it right out the front door, as Garmin does every moon day evening. But we're gonna beat him to it and come an hour early. That leaves only one major hitch: the mysterious elven woman, Nixerio, Garmin's second in command and confidant, stationed at the door. Surely she won't let our false Garmin carrying a deposit a suspicious hour early pass by without detection. Ho ho ho, but wait. Well, I mentioned we had an inside man, didn't we? Well, we may not know much about her. We do know she's rather dark and creepy, and the type that would be elated to receive a scorpion brooch from an unknown admirer and wear it with pride. It just so happens that this brooch is our man Kingsley, lying in wait until the perfect moment before springing up into action, administering a powerful intoxicant applied to his stinger to temporarily impair her. Our brave arthropod hops onto his dear mother's shoulder, and we're out the door. We'll be halfway to Sargava before Garmin comes for the deposit and realizes what hit him. Easy as that. We all clear? Good. Or at least, that's how it would have gone if Kingsley didn't demand 85% of the cut.
So, that gets us through episode 10 and our pre-TPK. Who knows what those letters stand for? Not I, because that's episode 11. So let's wind down with everyone's favorite NPC. I'll go first because I love me. I don't know if Kingsley counts as an NPC. Probably not, because he has a character sheet. So No, sadly, I am still going to say Kingsley because he's got a little bow on his tail. And as I've told you all sometimes, I really, really, really want to get a scorpion just so I can have it. But I also know that would be horrifying IRL. Mostly in the sense that I would want it to roam my apartment. And I don't think they're supposed to do that.
My favorite NPC, I've got to say, I've had a ball with Sandville Tret. I've really enjoyed how you've all kind of developed a relationship with him, and he's just such a he's a character. You know, he's got that smelly hotel room, and he's got that Buick, and he's a ball. So, Jeff.
It will come as no surprise as I've made my adoration known, but Garrett is far and away. I say far and away. Sam has crafted some marvelous NPCs, but from the moment his first words escaped his mouth to his just pouring out a pile of junk and kicking it around with his feet and being like, yep, this is it. And I haven't even touched upon his conspiracy theories. I'm Team Garrett all the way. I was voting. No, I love this podcast, Machine Learning, but I was hoping for just a Garrett spinoff because Garrett is fabulous. So that's where I'm landing. What about Zach?
It's hard to say, but I think if I'm not going to choose any of the ones that anybody has said so far, because obviously Bricks has a lot of affinity for Sandville, and I think Sandville is just hilarious. I would honestly say probably I like Mylan Radley. I think we have a really good role playing session with Iz and Mylan relating to Parta that I got really endeared to that character. Plus, normal corpse things. It's probably stands as my favorite joke of an underground BattleBot corpse robot battle situation between the Temple of Bry and Pharasma's Temple. So, yeah. Deep lore. All right, what about you, Zero?
As much as I want to say Garrett because I love his voice, it's going to have to be Sandville just because I've enjoyed our interactions more with him. Garrett has had a lot of really fun stuff, but it's been just kind of Garrett doing his own thing. I've loved our interactions with Sandville. Those have been very good. And I love our little running jokes like his Buick LeSabre he has, and just the odd smell that apparently even he doesn't know what it is, and just all the kind of stuff like that. Like, I like the lore we're building around this guy, that he is just a very unpleasant person, but not on purpose.
We love a Sandville. Which also, I think, gets us comfortably through the recap and the questions. Thanks for joining. This was fun. Come back in a week or possibly a month. Who can say? Time is fake. We love you. You suck. Aw. Oh, and then also good night. Night, guys.
Good night.
Good night.
We got there.
Nailed it. And it's like only 11:03. Good job, team.
Machine learning. Kill command received. Terminated.
Zach, did you want to get in a bit?
Oh,
Zach
no.
looks panicked.
Man, you just put me on the spot. I was laughing because Skype put your face over Sam's face temporarily, and I'm trying to upload a screenshot of that right now. So it's not showing it. Oh no, God! I hope.
All right,
I hope
we'll edit in Zach's bit later.
Oh God. Okay. Well, anyway, please don't edit it. That bit was super funny. Solid
Yep,
bit.
keeping
Been
that.
working on it for a little while. I'm glad that I waited this long in the podcast to pull it out. And boy, whatever we edit in there is going to be hilarious. But please, just cut this whole bit out.
I won't do it. I'm not cutting anything. It's going to be a 2-hour episode.